Hello everyone, I'm Ashwin and I'm going to be walking you through how TIBCO is uniquely positioned to help customers build IoT based smart connected solutions. So, smart cities today encapsulate an overwhelming number of different domains and application areas. These areas are enhanced with technology advancements and their effective use in providing service to people. Take the example of a major tourism hub or a small community striving to become sustainable. Smart city solutions have found their way in diverse areas of urban living. Rapid urbanization, obsolete infrastructure, adoption of new technologies, and the need for improved quality of life are actually driving smart city solutions today. The market also addresses a diverse set of requirements such as efficient mobility, smart and enhanced buildings and homes, optimum energy utilization, and better administrative services. So these sort of different solution possibilities are actually driving adoption across the industry and has become a major catalyst in smart city solutions being adopted across the world. So the smart city market size is also being projected to grow to over $1 trillion by 2025. And some of the key priorities for smart cities today can be categorized under five different key capabilities that are required. Uh, the most major one is, of course, breaking the silos that exist within a city and actually build an ecosystem which is very cohesive in the sense that you are able to connect your people, processes, and policies across the city to ensure that you're building a smart ecosystem as a foundation. So once you build this foundation, you actually have a lot of data that comes through, and you have to focus on decisions that matter and focus on the outcomes that matter. So it's not only about the technology ecosystem that you build underneath, you need to leverage this ecosystem to actually augment intelligence and ensure that you're focusing on the outcomes that matter. It is also very important to engage a broader community of innovators where you open up your entire ecosystem in a safe and secure way to ensure that your citizens and your citizen developers as well are able to interact with your ecosystem and build those smart possibilities or smart frameworks together. So it is also essential to modernize your existing infrastructure. So smart cities today should realize that their existing infrastructure should be modernized with a digital tissue around it, and ensure that things like cybersecurity and technology policies should be revised so that they are more smart city centric and not IT centric. So one of the biggest requirements for smart cities today is to build in that trust from day one. So as soon as you launch your smart city initiative, it is important that the right stakeholders are part of the process and you instill that trust within the process itself. So there are key business drivers today for this rapid adoption of smart cities across the world. As I said earlier, the industry itself is growing, is doubling up essentially every 5 years almost, and the growth is pretty much exponential. A lot of cities and a lot of developing countries as well actually have started investing in their smart city strategies, and they're also trying to make sure that they're managing this connectivity or these smart city capabilities as a strategic capability where they want to invest in these new and upcoming technologies like IoT and citizen owned and citizen centered processes to ensure that they leverage this as a strategic capability for driving new investment. They also want to ensure that the digital divide is cut down, making smart city solutions as accessible to the citizens as possible, especially in developing countries where unequal access to different resources from education to decision making is pretty large today, and they want to bridge that gap using e-governance and citizen-centered processes as well. So another key factor which smart cities is trying to solve is to protect the rights of the citizens, whether it is prioritizing human rights, social justice, or especially rights to privacy these days. So all of these initiatives are driving smart city adoption today. So when you talk about the challenges, when you look at smart cities, essentially you have four key challenges that pop to your mind and that crop up. So things like modernizing legacy systems and skills, where you want to ramp up your existing infrastructure very quickly to become digital and adopt those open ecosystem sort of policies. You also need to have the ability to apply a common platform and framework across your smart city solutions, whether it is e-governance or smart mobility or smart energy management. You want the same underlying framework to ensure consistency and maintainability. It doesn't make sense to have different solutions for different use cases, essentially. You also want to make sure that your data governance and your data access is actually secure and seamless as well. So it is important to expose your data the right way to ensure that data privacy and all of those things are taken care of, while ensuring that your system is open for collaboration and development. So through all of these things, you should ensure that your system is still extendable. So you might want to add new use cases or modernize your infrastructure later and down the line, for which you want to make sure that your system is as agile as possible and as decoupled as possible, essentially, to ensure that you can incorporate those new digital models as you go along. So some of the solution opportunities that arise from these challenges, right, and the positive business outcomes that you see from them are pretty evident as we go along. So one of the key solution opportunities is to sort of embrace the smart city capabilities of having a IoT enabled framework for smart connected solutions. So essentially having different sensors and different data feeds coming into your system which you haven't used before, and ensuring that you're able to make sense of those data streams coming in as well. The other key capability is to have a system of innovation, essentially a modern digital infrastructure to ensure that you have easy adaptability for incorporating new digital business models into your ecosystem. So whether it is realizing new revenue streams by opening up your ecosystem, or including IoT solutions into your framework, or adding an API layer across your enterprise. So those kinds of things are actually fall under the system of innovation for easy adaptability. So it is also important to leverage the same framework, as I was saying, to essentially have the same building blocks underneath to ensure that you have a scalable and maintainable solution, to ensure that you have the same framework and the same capabilities underneath across different use cases, whether it is smart mobility, smart energy, and all of those things. So the next key outcome that sort of matters is, so far we've seen what the underlying IT infrastructure should look like. It is also important to add some amount of intelligence into your IT infrastructure as well, where you can actually embed intelligence in your IT processes and at the edge device level as well. So where you can have your analytical models actually residing on your edge sensor so that it can take the decision in real time rather than waiting for a system to give it a response. And you basically have the ability with the framework that TIBCO provides to also act on your data in real time. Essentially, with all of these different feeds coming in from your IoT sensors, from your citizens, from different mobile devices, for example, all of those can come into your system, and we sort of help you understand the data in real time and then focus on the outcome that matters. So this capability is actually developed through a deep understanding of your data, through analytics that is actually exposable across all of your processes. So essentially you can embed analytics into all of your processes across the organization. And one of the biggest challenges today is to streamline your processes within the organization. So especially with e-governance coming into the picture, it is important to digitize your processes and reduce complexity of your existing manual processes as well. That way you can increase visibility and also improve your turnaround time and customer satisfaction. So the biggest positive business outcomes that come up with a smart city solution is, of course, can be encapsulated in these 4 points. You have a lot of other benefits as well, but these are the key sort of talking points that we have here. One of the biggest things is, of course, your marked improvement in citizen and safety and satisfaction, where you have your citizen-centric processes that are implemented, which solve their pain points, right? Which can be leveraged as a critical capability that is available within that city to drive new investment as well. It also increases your ability to realize new revenue streams and engage in new developer models or engagement models, where you create an open ecosystem that can easily be trusted from day one by both partners and citizens, to ensure that you can leverage data that you've collected over the years, for example, and ensure that you have the right applications built on top of this data to make sure that you're solving customer pain points. So all of this might sound complex, but the biggest positive business outcome that you get out of using TIBCO's solution is, of course, having an accelerated development time frame of all of these new smart city solutions, where you're able to roll out new smart city solutions very quickly while ensuring enterprise class performance and making sure that your system runs essentially day to day. And one of the biggest benefits, of course, is your decreased full-time operation costs as well, FTE costs, as I like to call it, where you convert several back office jobs into less labor-intensive digital processes, which are automated and also give you a lot of visibility into these processes as well at the same time. So TIBCO is sort of uniquely positioned in this space to provide these solutions to customers today, where it gives you the biggest capability in terms of giving you a single platform and a single framework underneath for building a smart city solution of your choice, whether it is smart mobility, smart energy management, e-governance, or simple digitization of your processes. All of them can be done using a single platform. And you can also have accessible insights across your enterprise. So you can embed analytics, which is based on your data in real time, and embed those analytics into your different processes as well. So make your analytics very accessible across the enterprise. We are also very TIBCO sort of very has a very fundamental theory at heart, which is making sure that you have a scalable and reusable framework, which can be leveraged for having a faster time to market and also a faster ROI, where you're able to accelerate the development of your smart city solutions. And you're also equally focused on customer experiences, where you listen to your customers and actually implement their feedback, for example, or their feature requests into future releases in real time, and also have those new capabilities developed very quickly as well. So I'll quickly walk you guys through a simple case study of Melbourne Airport, where the city of Melbourne wanted to launch a new smart city initiative, and they started their digital transformation journey with their airport as the first stepping stone. So to become a smart city, Melbourne actually essentially had to move to a more proactive method rather than a reactive. And then eventually they're actually looking to become predictive or improve on their predictive capabilities as well. So the problem that Melbourne had was that they had a lot of IoT sensors and a lot of information that was coming into their systems, but they weren't able to get actionable insights on top of it. And they weren't able to convert those insights into informed decisions as well. So essentially, they were a good example here is at Melbourne Airport, based off one of the aircrafts landing in the airport in real time. they were able to allocate a gate which is appropriate so that most of the passengers would be satisfied. So, for example, if 20 passengers from that specific aircraft are boarding a connecting flight which is close by, they were able to allocate or reallocate the gate for that specific aircraft to ensure that the passengers would have to walk the least amount. So those sort of calculations were done in real time, and an actionable decision was made on top of it. And this whole smart city solution was built in 19 weeks from sort of platform set up to all the way to handing it over to production. So you can see the accelerated time to market that was achieved with Melbourne Airport specifically. And the biggest business outcomes that Melbourne Airport were able to achieve out of this digital transformation journey was operational efficiency and customer journey improvements, where they saw a marked improvement in customer experience, and they were also able to accelerate delivery despite the complexity of the solution. Since they had the same common framework underneath, they were able to accelerate their time to market by building solutions very quickly. The biggest sort of capability that Melbourne Airport were able to realize out of this solution was, of course, enabling that situational awareness, right? Having all of those data streams coming in and then able to react to it in real time and make an informed decision on top. So this was the biggest benefit that Melbourne Airport sort of realized out of this solution. So these are the solution components that make up TIBCO's value proposition for smart cities, where we take you through the entire, or we provide one framework for the entire smart city solution, right from integrating your IoT devices, where you're able to build IoT applications that run on the edge devices natively, regardless of what kind of sensor you guys are running today. You can embed intelligence into those IoT devices using TIBCO and deploy your applications onto your IoT devices to ensure that they are sending in the right data feed at the right time. And then you can perform streaming analytics on top. So streaming analytics is essentially making sense or at least reacting to your real-time data streams and ensuring that you're making an informed decision on top, whether it is sending it down to case management or you take a decision on the edge device directly. So different possibilities come in through streaming analytics, where you're able to react to your intelligence in real time and make an informed decision on top. TIBCO also provides you with the case management capabilities on top. So, for example, as soon as a car jumps a red light, you automatically want a case management ticket assigned and proper action taken place on top of that specific ticket. So those kinds of capabilities can be automated using case management. And of course, all of this has to have an open ecosystem around it, where you're able to expose data securely and also open up these channels for monetization, for example. So all of your traffic sensor data, customer data, everything can be securely exposed to your partners and citizens alike to ensure that the right people have access to it, and you have your open ecosystem available for people to build on top of as well. And one of the key factors that is always needed for performing advanced analytics is visualization, where you need to develop dashboards and different sort of metrics to measure KPIs of your processes and effectiveness of your solution as well, to ensure that your smart city solution is functioning optimally, right? And of course, you have TIBCO's sort of integration layer that is always available to interconnect all of these different components that you see to ensure that you have seamless smart city solutions that are available, which are focused on customer experience. So here's a high-level sort of solution architecture and how the TIBCO solution works. So as sort of we've walked through this a couple of times, where you have a lot of sensors and IoT devices these days which are generating a lot of data. And this data, once collected, needs to be sort of processed and made sense of. So step one is essentially how your sensors, like your traffic sensors or ambient light sensors, temperature sensors, generate data, and then you collect all of it and then you make sense of that data in steps 2 and 3. So TIBCO helps you through these journeys at different stages, and then you make an informed decision on top, whether it is not an automated decision or if it requires a human touch through case management. So things like that, everything is taken care of by the same platform. And at a high level, this is how the solution architecture for um, TIBCO Smart City solution would look like, where you have your data sources that come into the system, whether it is IoT or your traditional systems within the organization, like big data solutions or cloud-based data providers. You have your Salesforce or CRMs of the world, which also gives you the data. What you essentially do is you abstract these data sources from your application by putting in a data virtualization layer in between, which TIBCO provides, where you're able to provide that abstraction layer in between to ensure your data is prepared the right way and is available for analytics, because that is the first step that is always needed for an organization before they implement a smart city solution. And then you perform all of your advanced analytics on top, whether it is descriptive, prescriptive, or data modeling capabilities as well. And on top of which, you always have your process orchestration. So things like case management, and then your IoT based applications where you embed intelligence and embed action taking, decision making capabilities at the edge itself. And on top of all of this, you essentially have your partner APIs or your partner ecosystem that is available, and also your customer APIs as well. On top of which, you build all of your different applications, whether it is e-banking or a mobile app or a social app that is available, and build your smart city solutions as well, right from smart energy, smart mobility, or public safety, e-governance, or smart healthcare. So this common framework enables all of those smart city solutions that you can run on top, for seamless maintainability and scalability as well. So I'll be walking you guys through a quick demo of how. So this is the demo that TIBCO has built to showcase the smart city framework in sort of detecting a mob as it builds up within a city, and in an area of interest as well, where we base the data that is coming in of information that is coming in either from a IoT sensor or from a process, and that data is then fed into the system, and actionable insights are taken on top of it in real time. So this UI that you see here is based off a live visualization that can be leveraged across the organization, that enables people to visualize the different data streams that are coming into the system in real time. So the framework that we've built is highly configurable, where you're able to drill down to the city that you want your um, or drill down to the city where you want to detect the mob buildup in a specific region. And also, as you see, you have different configurable parameters, like which data source will be sending in your information, whether it is a file or an IoT based sensor. And you also have the ability to set radius around a specific point of interest to detect a mob buildup in that specific area. So this visualization that you see here is a representation of what are the different possibilities with this platform. You can actually leverage the same visualization framework to show you a view of your different traffic sensors, for example, show the route of your fleet that is going across the city, or different use cases like that. So it's not limited by a specific configuration, but you can actually ensure that the right visualization is available, and the right real-time visualization is available as well. So we're going to go ahead and select the city of interest. In this case, we're going with New York and a specific street. And we're going to go ahead and select a few points of interest in the map. So key in certain anchor points where within a specific radius of those anchor points, you want to detect a mob buildup. So you also select the radius of interest. In this case, we've left it at a 30 sort of meter radius around that specific anchor point to ensure consistency. And you also have the ability of selecting a data source, or you can have multiple data sources as well. There's no specific restriction on the number of data sources that you guys might want. So in this case, I'm going to go with an IoT sensor. And the connectivity from the IoT sensor into the system is also done through TIBCO, where we've embedded a process or an application developed using our platform onto the IoT device to ensure that it's sending geo coordinates of people around it in real time. So once you hit submit here, all of these configurations are then sent, sent to your real-time platform or your real-time embedded intelligence and your streaming analytics platform to ensure that they have the right configurations to visualize for you. So you see that your configurations are submitted successfully. So now it's important to understand how your average footfalls and your average mob size is actually detected. So you have a lot of prescriptive analytics here where you see the average footfalls per minute in a specific city, and you have different sorts of dashboards that are being used here to understand what is the average footfall that you see in a specific street at a given time during the day. And based off all of these exploratory analysis, you select parameters of interest for your data model as well, where in this case, we've selected whether it is a work day, whether you have a number of an event going on close by, the number of parks that are available, whether you have the start of day, the end of the day that day, and all of those different sort of parameters that we use to build a data model. And this data model actually gives you a prescriptive number on the number of average footfall for that specific point of interest. So you see the power of the platform here, where it's able to prescribe a number that says any number above or below this is a problem, and you might want to have a look at it. So in our case, we've said if you see an average footfall above 5, then you automatically want to trigger a real-time alert. So this is sort of the exploratory analysis and the data modeling capabilities which are required to embed analytics across your enterprise before you perform streaming analytics, right? So now that your data model is ready, you build a process that actually realizes all of these data feeds in real time and ingests all of this information. And on top of which you perform streaming analytics. So you leverage the data modeling capabilities to detect what is the optimum number of people on a specific street, and then you sort of react to it and send out the appropriate alerts in real time. So when you go back to your UI, you should see the data feed from the different sensors that are coming in, and in this case coming in from the IoT sensor. So this is the same visualization that we saw earlier where we configured our anchor points, and you can see that the people have started popping up from the sensors. And once it detects movement, you can automatically see the different statistics for each street, where you see the mob density and the threshold for those specific anchor points selected. And you should start seeing movement of these people, right? And you see that it is being visually represented in this interactive UI, where you can track the person in real time and also have the visualization shown up along with alerting capabilities as well. So in this case, we're going to detect a mob buildup based off a certain number of people in a specific area. And as soon as the mob buildup in that specific area crosses the threshold value that you see to your right in the mob statistics, it automatically triggers an alert for us across the view. And again, this UI can be customized to every requirement for smart city solutions, whether it is smart energy, smart mobility, and all of those things, and e-governance as well. So you can slowly start seeing that at one of the points, the mob density is slowly starting to build up. And once we hit a threshold value in a couple of seconds, we're going to automatically see a live alert popping up along with a downstream decision made on top of that alert as well. So, so you see that in a specific area, a lot of grouping is actually happening and a clumping up is actually happening right now, especially between east at the point of 19, and you can see that automatically once the threshold value is hit, a notification is generated for a mob being detected at a specific point. And this notification, you can actually configure your system to react appropriately, whether you want the system to automatically take care of it by embedded intelligence, or you feel that more of a human touch is necessary, you can do the appropriate action. So this is the sensor feed that is actually coming in. So we've embedded this application onto the edge device or the sensor, which is actually sending in the data feed that we saw on the visualization popping up. And as I said, right, you can actually embed your analytics into your application for it to react to a mob buildup in real time by itself. Or you can also have it register a case, for example, like you see here, where it automatically raises an incident, gives you the lat long and what the threshold value was and what the actual mob density which was recorded at a specific time. That way you can have the appropriate action taken on top of your data and sort of realize those capabilities as well. So as I said, this is just an example of how the framework would work like. The same underlying building blocks can be used and reused for different solutions like smart mobility, where you visualize your traffic sensors and look at how different traffic patterns might be harmful or more malicious, for example, and predict an accident in real time. Or you can also leverage the same framework to do other use cases like smart governance and automating your processes as well. So hope you found this video informative. Thanks.